This must be the place. Professor Oubier's house.
Looks pretty creepy. I'd been away from Paris and hadn't seen Nico for nearly 6 months. I wanted to celebrate our reunion, but she had other plans. An appointment with an archaeologist. Something to do with a Mayan stone she came across while researching the story. The guy who answered the door didn't look much like an archaeologist to me. I had a bad feeling about this. I glanced over the books, vaguely hoping to find a copy of How to Deal with Poisonous Spiders While Tied to a Chair. No such luck. But I noticed one corner of the bookcase was supported by a loose block of wood. The bookcase was too big and heavy to move. The bookcase was too big and heavy to move. I thought that I ought to free myself before examining the furniture. The bookcase was too big. The bookcase was too big and heavy. Maybe I'd been a little heavy-handed, but it was a question of survival. Of course, I was still tied to a chair in a burning house with no means of escape. With one mighty bound, our hero was free. Now, I had to deal with that fire. Inside, I found a bottle of tequila. Normally, I didn't drink strong spirits, but today was far from normal. disgusting. Not only did the tequila burn like hell, I just managed to stop myself from swallowing the worm. I racked my brains to think of a way to improvise a fire extinguisher. If only I'd stopped for a coffee at the airport. There was no pressure in the siphon. I guess it was out of gas. There was no pressure in the siphon. I guess it was out of gas. I wasn't going to touch the box after that spider had been inside it. That dart was sharper than a mosquito's business end, but this didn't deter me from getting it anyway. It was a stylish little canvas number containing a lipstick, a handwritten note, and a pair of nylon panties with a large love heart emblazoned across the front. It occurred to me that Nico's tastes must have really changed while I was away. Well, they could be useful. It was a pair of red, lace-trimmed panties decorated with a... The fire had taken hold and ignited part of the polished wooden floorboards. I couldn't put out the flames with my bare hands. I couldn't put out the... I guess I had no business reading the note, but I figured it might give me a clue to what Nico was involved in. It was from André Lobineau, the history student Nico had known at college. The letter was sentimental mush, and revealed that the exotic lingerie, as he called it, was a gift from him. It gave his telephone number. Lobineau figured himself as a rival for Nico's affections. but I couldn't believe that that creep was in the running. It was Nico's lipstick. It wasn't my color, and it reminded me of clowns. It was the poisoned dart which had stunned Nico. I'd never known anything keep her quiet so effectively. It was a pair of red, lace-trimmed pants. The door blocked my only means of escape. The cabinet was locked. The rope was shredded and no possible use to me. I'd drunk enough of that. The bookcase had fallen on its front, making it impossible to reach the books inside. I'd already ransacked Nico's handbag, and besides which, the color didn't suit me. The door blocked my only means of escape. The bureau contained Professor Houbier's tequila. The bureau contained Professor Houbier's tequila. The bureau contained Professor Ubier's tequila. There was something short, fleshy, and gross on the carpet. It was the worm from the bottle of tequila. I'd drunk enough of that. As I released the lock, something blew the doors open. I couldn't think of a use for a burst cylinder. I couldn't think of a use for a burst cylinder. That cylinder was hot. I couldn't pick it up with my bare hands. The panties I'd found in Nico's bag were just what I needed to wrap around the hot cylinder. The cylinder gave out a faint hiss as the valve opened. What? Now I had one primed up and ready to use extinguisher. With a well-aimed squirt of his soda fountain, our unshakable hero saved the day. Now it was time to start looking for Nico. I couldn't think of a use for a burst cylinder. In the drawer was a small decorated pot. The pot contained a key. The red and yellow pot had black decorative markings shaped like hands. Weird mutant hands, that is. I wasn't going to burn myself on that red-hot doorknob, and it wasn't the time for subtlety. I'd found a piece of newspaper folded in two. It referred to a forthcoming eclipse of the sun. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be visible from Europe. The best place to view the eclipse would be Mexico. It was the newspaper clipping referring to the imminent eclipse. Wrapped inside it was another small piece of paper. It was a bank statement for Houbier's account from an automatic telling machine. The last 5 withdrawals were for large amounts, and all made in Marseille. It was Houbier's bank statement. The door was locked. I didn't fancy my chances of kicking this door down. The front door was made of hard wood, supported by a sturdy frame. I unlocked the door. Without a plan, I had nowhere to go. Maybe there was something in the house which would give me a clue where Nico had been taken. It was Houbier's bank statement. Much as I disliked him, Lobino might be my only hope of finding Nico. Hi, Andre?
Who is this?
It's George Stobart, Nico's boyfriend.
Don't you mean ex-boyfriend?
Look, I didn't call you just to pick a fight. I need to talk to you about Nico.
Can't you accept she's just not interested in you?
Listen, Andre, we need to talk. Nico's life depends on it.
Okay. You remember the cafe at Montfaucon?
Sure. Andre? You'd better show, you creep. I felt an irrational urge to wipe my ear. I wasn't looking forward to meeting Lobino again, but he was my only link with Nico.